Happy Saturday morning to everybody, especially on the West Coast. Woo! It's early over there. It's like 8 o'clock.
Yeah,
West East us East
they should be
Coasters
up.
a little bit better.
They should be
Uh,
up though. It's 8 a.m. right?
yeah, come on, people. I just got to say it's been a banger of a first 2 weeks coming back to YouTube. You know,
Welcome back.
I put the carrot out there, and guys like Wayne Breezy and Hensley and Sterling Bennett have all bit the carrot. So I appreciate that. It's a little weird, like when you don't stream for a while, or even when you do stream, like when you know people are busy and you know they got their own channels and you know they got their own stuff. Like when you put that invite out there, there's a little bit of like, I really don't want to do this because like I don't want them to get bothered by it, but you just have to do it sometimes. And you were kind enough to give me some time before you go off to work today, and I appreciate it.
Oh man, I'm more than welcome. I'm more than happy to be here. I truly appreciate the invite. Yeah, man, you just reach out to me, man. You got my number, so when you hit
Yeah,
me
that's
up,
true.
I
Even then,
respond.
though, it's still kind of weird because people got
never,
kids
never,
and
f- never feel that way with me, bro. I just all you gotta do is hit me up. I'm more than welcome to rock out with the bro.
appreciate that. So, anybody who's got a pulse that goes on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. And before I go anywhere, I just want to say morning to Peachy Brown.
Hey,
Thank
Peach.
you for coming through and supporting the stream. Supreme69, thank you very much. Raijin, of course, long time. You know it. Thank you. The QB talk, man, has gotten people up in arms with each other. There's a lot of territorial kind of lines drawn in the sand. I personally, when I tell people, when I say like I'm a Brock guy, but not the way people think when they think of it, it's like I'm only going based on what I saw at the end of last year.
Okay,
That's it. So like my feelings could be changed. Things could change, and I could have a different opinion. Like say, for
that's
instance,
fair.
Trey starts the season and he balls out six and we go like 6-0 or 5-1, and I'd be like, no, he stays. You know, Brock is the backup now. Um, and but there is a lot of one side or the other with this thing, and it's almost like dividing the fan base, kind of like the Jimmy Garoppolo situation. So I want to get your opinion on it. Where do you stand on the situation? It doesn't really matter because in the end, we're all 49er fans, and I think some people lose sight of that, and we need to start remembering we're cheering for the same squad. So what's your take on all that craziness?
Yeah, I think that's the most important take of them all, that we're all rooting for the 49ers, and whatever the best situation is for the 49ers to go into the season, we should all support it regardless who the starting quarterback is. I feel like you can have a guy, you can have a favorite and all that. Big supporter for Trey Lance pre Brock. So when
Mm-hmm.
before Brock was even a thought of, uh, you know, and we went to draft Trey Lance. I've been pushing for this kid to get the opportunity because I just felt like he has the it factor. You know, he has something that we haven't really seen much of in San Francisco. I've been a fan for 36 years, and I've watched, I would say, two elite quarterbacks,
Yep.
two good quarterbacks, and then everybody else were subpar,
Yep.
right? And
Agreed.
so I felt like with Trey, we were going to get an opportunity to see something a little bit different. We don't know if he would have ever been elite, but he has the traits to be elite. And so that was the plan. And I just feel like plans change because Brock was drafted in the 7th round last year. He got an opportunity and he took advantage of it. It's I don't understand why the fan base, why we got to be on polar ends of everything, you know? Um Brock proved that he can win. The only thing he didn't do, in my opinion, was stay healthy. And if you're gonna say, well, he got hurt, well, then so did Trey Lance. Like, just keep the same conversation going. Like, be fair when you're assessing the guys. I just feel like the stories are different and people give these weird takes, and I'm just like, well, you gotta be the same because Trey got hurt too. And
Yep.
so then I think a lot of the fan base want Trey to get the opportunity again, and I think that's the issue. I don't think it's I'm pro Trey Lance or I'm pro Brock Purdy. I think it's more just, damn, why can't Trey get that opportunity since Brock was hurt? Why can't Trey get the opportunity? And I think like you said, you became a believer in Brock. I think all of us did because he just did something we haven't seen in a long time. And it was magical. And
Was
unfortunately, due to the injury, we fell short. So I don't know why we're at polar ends. For me, I'm rooting for Trey. I'm rooting for Brock. Um, Hell, I'm rooting for Sam Darnold at this point. I want to make sure that quarterback room, in my opinion, is 100 times better than it was last year because we do know in football players get injured. And I'm not saying Brock Purdy's going to get injured. I'm not saying Trey Lance is going to get injured. What I'm saying is if one of those quarterbacks get injured, whoever the next man up is, they got to go in there and do the damn thing. Like they got to make sure we don't skip a beat because that's why we didn't win the NFC Championship game. Let's say it was Trey or Jimmy or whatever, had it been one of those guys getting injured and Brock came in, we win that game. Like people know that. So we fell short in the quarterback's room, and I think we're strong there. And I think over time, the next couple of weeks or so in training camp, we'll only get stronger. But I'm hoping I'm answering your question. It's really tough to talk about. I just wish we all can come together and understand it's about the red and gold. And even though
yeah.
I love Trey Lance, it's still about the red and gold. Like he had his opportunity. He had an opportunity, and unfortunately he got hurt. And when Brock came in, he took advantage of the opportunity, and I know he got hurt. But when you win 8 straight, it's kind of hard to argue against that. I think that's where had Trey Lance won 8 straight, we'd be having a different conversation.
We would.
I
We
think,
would have the
right?
conversation of can he continue it? Was
Yeah.
that the real? Was that the real Trey Lance? You know,
I mean,
that's the same conversation with Brock. People think like, oh, Aaron, you just believe Brock. No, like I want to see it again with Brock. Do I
right.
have a feeling that I'm a little worried that it's like Jimmy Garoppolo all over again in 2017? Yeah, I definitely have that feeling because we got fooled by Jimmy. I don't want to be fooled by Brock Purdy. Hopefully, if he is the starter, he comes out and keeps that same energy. I think the one thing with the Trey Lance thing that really gets to me is that, like you said, like people lose sight of like we're cheering for the same team, and it's not like if Brock came in and did what he did, he can't acquiesce and bring and give the game a ball back to Trey if Trey's got a broken ankle or a broken whatever. I forgot what he broke. It was
He
the
broke his
ankle.
ankle. Yep.
Like he was the only quarterback that was worth anything left on the roster. Like what was he supposed to do? Just like tank the season and say, "Here you go, Trey, it's back to you." No, like he did what he had to do, and the Niners are going based on that too. Is it dangerous? Yeah. But it's tough, man. Trey doesn't have enough stuff on tape, and Brock has slightly more stuff on tape. There's still, I mean, if you listen to Kyle Shanahan, he still doesn't seem like I mean, I think they know, and I think Trey's the guy if healthy. Or Brock, but there's a little bit of still indecision on them. The 49ers are that quarterback away every single time. I started a TikTok like a month ago, and people comment, they're like, "Yo, your team's really good, but you're a quarterback away." And they're like other fan bases, and I'm like, "You're 100% correct." It's always the question mark, and so I don't know. People just get like really, and then like if you post something, it's like they attack you for it. It's like, listen, I'm just putting out there. Like for instance, Mark Willard posted something about Trey hitting, throwing, passing it in the ground, and the Niners might trade him. I don't feel that strongly about it yet. I don't know if you saw the Mark Willard video, but he essentially said that the Niners, he thinks they're going to trade Trey Lance at some point.
I
I
didn't see the video. When we're talking about trading Trey Lance, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on, right? I mean, like, I just watched a video, and they were talking about Trey's confidence. I will say that I did not like the questions asked toward Trey Lance. Um, I felt like there was an agenda,
mm-hmm.
and then at some point he just wanted to talk about other things, and they kept trying to press. I mean, I guess that's their job. So they kept pressing, well, you're not quarterback one, and how do you feel about that? And he kind of kept saying the same thing over and over again. Like, listen, it is what it is. Like, I'm like, whatever happens is happens, and whatever is meant to be will be. And that's his answer. I feel like he doesn't want to continue to answer that question over and over again. And no matter how many different ways the beat writers ask the question, they're going to get the same answer. And I feel like they're looking for something different. And it made him look, I would say, it didn't make him look bad, but it just made him look like, I don't know. It was a weird presser for Trey opposed to Sam Darnold, who got asked different questions.
Yeah, I understand that, and I agree with that.
It was weird.
Yeah, there's definitely, listen, fans are separate on the situation. The media, of course, people have agendas. That's the whole part of media. Like, people have certain takes that they're trying to push through to the public all the time, every single year. I mean, look at Mike Florio. I mean, he figures if he's stupid enough to make weird and outlandish takes, that eventually one of them's going to stick. And that's how I feel about Florio. Like, he's a lot of time wrong, mostly. And, he figures if he keeps bashing this Trey Lance situation, that he's going to be right on it once in a while. There's some people like 49er minded does not like Mark Willard. Yeah, I don't necessarily agree on Willard's take that, him skipping passing into the ground in training camp, and it being year 3 that constitutes a trade. I think that's kind of like a weird way to connect things. I will say this, though, that eventually the 49ers will make a decision on it. I think Trey's going to be the backup this year if things continue to go the way that they are. I'm not saying that they will go the way that they are and that there's not a chance that he starts. I'm just saying, if all things even, everybody healthy, based on everything we've heard all offseason, it's a lot of the same regurgitated Trey's leader in the clubhouse, Trey's leader in the clubhouse. Sometimes you have to take what's coming out of the mouth of the coaches and the front office and take it for face value. Sometimes they're messing with guys and they're trying to motivate people, but sometimes I feel like it's the truth. Again, I got to remind people, I'm not an anti-Trey. If Trey comes in and balls and is really good, I want him to stay the starter, and I want him to go with him for the forever until he don't play no more, because that's what you drafted him for. But at the same time, I'm all about the Niners and winning. And if Brock at this moment gives them the best chance, then that's what I want. It all has to do with them getting number 6, man. I don't have any allegiance. That's why I don't buy quarterback jerseys, because with the
Correct.
49ers the last 20 some odd years, you never know who's going to. Yeah, like I buy positional. My brother's like, don't buy quarterback jerseys.
That's
the
a
only
fact,
quarterback
bro.
jersey I'd buy is either Steve Young or Joe Montana. That's it. Like, guys have been retired, 20, 30 years. So I don't know, man. Like, and it's really weird that people get really emotional on social media, like to the point where they're like, almost like they're having a mental breakdown. Like, they're looking a little bit like off kilter, like, relax. It's not really that big of it. I mean, it's, in the end of the day, it's sports. Like, they really get emotional about it. And that part I don't understand, and then people attack each other. I don't know. It's
I think the best way, and I'm not telling anybody to do this, this is the way I'm looking at the situation. And Trey Lance is probably looking at the situation kind of sort of in this way. Listen, I think Trey Lance just wants to play football. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? There's nothing wrong with the kid wanting to freaking play. Now, will he play for the 49ers? It depends if he gets the opportunity. Look, Brock Purdy's healthy. End of discussion. Quarterback 1, right?
Unfortunately for people that don't want to agree with it, yeah, it's.
But he's healthy, and as long as he continues to make the trends going upwards, during this training camp, he should be quarterback 1. That was my disclaimer in the offseason. If he's unhealthy, Trey Lance is the guy. If he's healthy, then he's gonna get the opportunity to come back and see if he can do what he did again, right? Because he earned it. And so, like, if you look at it in that sense, well, what did Trey Lance earn? I mean, let's have this conversation, because I think a lot of people feel like Trey Lance isn't given the opportunity, but what did he earn? What did he earn? He was given the keys his second year because there was no quarterback that they were going to. Nate Sudfeld wasn't the guy, and Brock Purdy wasn't going to be the guy.
Right.
And then they doubled down. They couldn't get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo, so they brought him back on a cheaper deal. And so, like, that helped him out a little bit. And unfortunately, During his opportunity, he suffered a season-ending ankle injury after 5 quarters of football. And that's not his fault. But what I'm trying to say is, how or what did Trey do to even earn that spot? This is not a shade or a knock at him, but now that he's healthy, all I'm saying is Trey just needs to go out there and continue to trend upwards and continue to look like he's trying to earn that number 1 spot back. This is what competition is all about. Last time I checked, you want to compete against the best. You don't want to just be handed a job because it's by default. You want to earn the job. You want to win the job, right? I want to win the job. So if that's his mindset, which I feel like it is, because the kid talked about competition all offseason, every interview. I can't wait to compete. I hope Brock Purdy comes back. He's been saying the same thing consistently I want him to come back. I want to compete for the spot. He doesn't care where he was drafted. It doesn't matter where he was drafted. He doesn't give 2 flying cares about that. He just wants to play football. So if something happens and Trey gets the opportunity, my take still stands. If Trey is given the opportunity, he has to go out there and play football for the San Francisco 49ers. It's going to blow and light this league. He's going to lit it on fire. Now, are there going to be areas where he struggles? Yes. Why? He's not getting those reps. So, like, when you see him throw a skip pass in practice to a running back, I wonder why. First of all, he ain't working with the first unit. Second of all, he's out there with limited reps. Third of all, you took some of his reps to give to a 4th-string quarterback that shouldn't even make this team. Let's talk about the context behind why Trey, when Trey was getting the first reps, was he not the best quarterback out there on the field? When Brock, his first time back, he looked like he was struggling. What did they do? Let him get the first team reps again. Now he's getting those reps. So what happens when you get reps, bro? You get into a rhythm. You start to get confident. Oh, yeah, I can make that throw. You know, I was a little off on that throw. I'm going to shake that off. Let me get another rep. And so that's what happens. You build muscle memory. Brock's getting that opportunity. Trey's not. Trey has to work with the reps that he's given. Them reps, according to Matt Mayoko, that's one of the guys I follow like dearly. According to his reps, him and Sam Darnold is dead even, splitting reps. Why? Those are my questions.
Right. No, I agree. So, yeah, and Bash made a good point. Nobody brings it up. There is, I don't know why they're giving 4 guys reps in training camp. That's definitely what are we doing here? 4? I thought usually it's like 2 and then barely any to the 3rd guy. That's usually how it goes every training camp.
So this isn't a Trey thing. This is a head coaching type of a thing. Because what you're doing is you solidified your quarterback 1, so he's going to get the majority of the reps. Then you took the second quarterback that usually gets the second most reps, right? You split that amongst 2. And now you got another quarterback that's going to take reps on the 3rd team, which is where Sam Darnold should be.
Right. I agree.
It's just interesting, man. It's weird to when you think about it. And maybe it shifts. So maybe we're wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe over time throughout camp, it just shifts. It's like a circle. So maybe it's a cycle, like carb cycling. Maybe they'll go high here and then medium here one day. And then the next day, Trey will get the reps because, Brock's going to be off. He's going to throw today and he's going to be off, I think, the next time they practice, which will be Sunday, so that then Trey will go back to first reps. He'll get them. But all I'm saying is these quarterbacks, it doesn't matter who they are. They just need reps, bro. Like they need reps. If they don't get those reps with the consistent starters, they can't build the chemistry. They can't do this. They can't do that. And they're going to struggle.
I feel like last year was so important for Trey Lance's development. I felt, and that's what people who come at me and be like, you're a Brock guy. No, man, like when he got hurt last year, I said to myself, this could be like detrimental to his career with the 49ers, especially when you started seeing Brock kill it. And I thought to myself, I think Trey could do this too. The one thing that everybody always goes back to, though, with Trey, is just like the easy passes. He can do all the other stuff, but it's like the easy stuff that he has to be really good and almost not think about and be repetitive with. Does that what is the word I'm looking for? Does that reflect him not getting enough reps? Possibly. He just hasn't played enough football since like 20 19. He just hasn't. He
He
hasn't had
hasn't.
enough time.
It's not even the fact, Aaron, that he hasn't played enough football. He hasn't played enough football in the style of Kyle Shanahan.
Yes.
And
Kyle expects a lot out of his quarterbacks.
Absolutely.
Very difficult system to learn.
Bingo. That's number one. That's why year one they wouldn't put him in. He didn't know the offense. He didn't even know, excuse me, he couldn't learn the playbook. He couldn't grasp it that fast. Even Jimmy struggled with the playbook from time to time, and he'd been in the system. So that's how difficult it is. That's why I always kept saying, Kyle, why can't you just simplify it a little bit? Just like make it a little bit simple. But see, Kyle's playbook is so intricate that every piece has to move in the right way in order for everything to work properly. I truly feel the genius of Kyle Shanahan. If everything does move in the right order, it's a touchdown on every play. Like literally,
I agree.
That's how genius he is.
Yep,
but the blocks got to be
and timing.
Oh my gosh.
Offense.
It's
I was
all
listening
timing.
to KNBR talk about that. They're talking about how like plays are developed in the Niners offense. Essentially, they're all timing plays.
All timing, bro.
All of them can usually result in a touchdown if executed properly. That's ridiculous. And then you get plays off of other plays. You know what I mean? So like that's the thing.
What I was gonna say is that I challenge everybody, if they have the opportunity, to watch all 22 if you can. I know it's hard to get. I know NFL .com, I think they offer it. I know it comes late, but if you do subscribe to NFL Plus, whatever it's called, and you get the all 22, you after a game, you want to watch that. And if not, I'll be doing breakdowns on the Patreon, John Chapman and other things, just so you can understand, like, oh, damn, he missed that block. Oh, the wide receiver didn't do some. It's always a hiccup to why the play doesn't work. And so you're like, damn. So it's all timing. If everything works, and that's hard. 11 people. Defense is easy. It's just communicate and react, right?
See ball, attack ball. Right.
Offense, bro. Excuse me, Kyle Shanahan's offense. It's not like you and I, and we get our guys together and we go play, tackle football on the concrete, and we just go out there and you just throw to the open guy.
We used to do that back
in
the day.
Yeah, that's why we so damn tough. But my point is, Kyle Shanahan's offense isn't that. It's super intricate. It's all about timing. Its pieces have to move at the same time simultaneously, and pieces are doing different things at the same time. So it's so weird. It just has to work. And so, like, Brock Purdy, when he has to ad-lib, he looks good at it. Trey Lance is more of that system quarterback where it's more pro style, fake the handoff. That's where he came from. Trey Lance didn't line up in the shotgun in North Dakota State. He didn't have to. They were bulldozing cats over. So it was play action, 70 yards down the field, deep bomb. He comes to the NFL, it's totally different because guys aren't playing man all the time. He has to learn zone. Now he has to get those throws you're talking about, them touch throws, those short throws, those accurate throws, he has to get that aspect to his game. And I feel like that's what he's working on. And if you haven't seen it, just go and look at his mechanics. His throws are being released a lot quicker. The ball isn't way down low now. It's up here now on his release.
Amazing.
Look at his base.
His base is way smaller. That dude was straight up like, yeah, he had such a wide base when he first started. You can't put anything into throws when your base is that wide. You're essentially using arm and shoulder. You can't play quarterback like that.
I just feel like
for a while.
So if he's improved on that, science would say he's going to be better, but in order for him to get better, he has to get reps. And if he's not getting reps in practice, that means he's not going to play much. And so you have to hope when he gets the opportunity, if anything is to happen, he gets in there, that all the stuff that he learned throughout the camps and whatever, he'll be able to go out there and just do it. But I think Trey just needs reps. He always has. That's never going to change. And it's unfortunate, but I'm happy that Brock is healthy. I'm happy that Trey Lance is healthy. I'm happy that Sam Darnold is healthy because this provides us with a healthy quarterback competition. And it doesn't mean who's going to be quarterback one. It's just competition. Each guy has to make each guy better. Sam Darnold was making a couple of good throws out there. Like that's the whole purpose of having a quarterback competition, you know? And so I know Trey Lance struggled the last couple of days. What he do? Went 2 for 5 both days. Day 2, day 3. Let's see what day 4 is like, you know, and hopefully he'll check some other boxes. But we never know what they're really working on. We only know what they tell us. Like, you know what I mean? So we'll see what happens. What's going on, Ted Talks?
What's up, Ted? My Wednesday co-host for First and Ted. Good guy, great guy.
I love it.
My guy Bashar's in here too.
I see him.
East Coast Red and Gold. Props on the Jesse Sapolo interview.
That's what's
I
up,
caught
man.
the tail end of that.
He's a great guy too, Jesse.
Yeah, man. Like one of these days, I want to hang out with Jess because she gets all the good interviews. You got to stooge him off to my channel. No, I'm just playing.
Congrats,
the whole point of like you just interviewed somebody. Hey, come to my channel so I can ask them the same questions. No, it's good. You got him. Congrats. One question that seems to be thrown around that kind of connects with the quarterback situation is the quote unquote Super Bowl window. You hear people talk about the Super Bowl window. Some people like Kittle really think it's a thing. And then you have Trent Williams in a press conference say, I ain't thinking about it. It's like thinking about dying. You go like every year, every game, every day, and just take it that way. And it's some people like to look to the future. And some people kind of live in the moment. I feel like Trent Williams is more of a moment guy because he knows he doesn't have a ton of time left playing. We had this discussion on the new Monday show I have with Brian Culp, Ty Elston, and David McNiner, and we talked about, is there a Super Bowl window? And Bryant was more of like, he doesn't believe it, so to speak, like in the way that the context. And I said I kind of do because I feel like the certain combination of certain players together and just the chemistry, eventually that's going to change. People have to get paid. People move on. And I'm not saying that you can't because we've seen with the Chiefs, like a lot of stuff changes, but as that quarterback is so damn good, like he extends that window, even if the surrounding pieces, like the Niners have all these great surrounding pieces and the quarterback is like kind of the thing that is always interchanging. If the Niners say got a guy like a Mahomes, and then like that window would be forever open because the quarterback can make up for whatever deficiencies. I guess my question to you is, do you believe in the whole window thing? Is it stress you out knowing that the Niners like have this finite time to win a championship? Or do you think Kyle and John are going to continue to make this team be as competitive as possible every year?
I did believe in the Super Bowl window. And then a couple of teams kind of started, all right, I tell you what, there's a Super Bowl window. But from George Kittle's perspective, and that's the thing I love about just being human, like you can have a perspective and it could be right? Like that's the whole purpose. Like your perspective is your perspective. Just give the context to why you feel that way so people can be more understanding. So I'm thinking from George Kittle, like it goes along to like what you said, like how long can we keep this group of guys together? Because they're gonna all go off to retire, they're gonna get contracts and go to different teams. It's just the way of the NFL and the salary cap. So it that's automatically gonna happen. So if that happens and you start losing all of this talent and all of these high, profile players, you know what I'm saying? Like how is that window stay open? So I kind of get where he was coming from his perspective. And then when I listen to Trent Williams, I'm like, Trent is thinking differently. I'm gonna put this in a religious term for those out there that are kind of like religious. There's the heaven or hell, situation out there, and do you want to go to heaven or do you want to go to hell? What are you trying to do? If you're in the church, you're trying to promote whatever, right? But at the end of the day, I'm all about that kingdom work, right? Like, so it's a little different. Like, and so when I think of kingdom, I'm thinking of dynasty. And I feel like in Trent's mind, he feels like this team, the window, there is no window because we're building a dynasty here. And as long as we continue to build the dynasty, it just stretches out the way we can continue to find ways to win. Now, Trent's time, obviously, because of father age, is catching up. But I listened to his presser at least 13 times because I wanted to make sure I understood the words that were coming out of his mouth. And it didn't seem like there was any sense of retirement in him. He made it seem like he was going to play for the next 3 years. If you listen to him again, I felt like he came out and said he was going to continue to play next year. At least he gave us next year. I felt like it was in there. I got to refine it, but it's in there. So Trent understands that, like, there's no window. We just got to continue to focus on the goal. The goal is every year, come out, do your best, give your best, and get to that Super Bowl and win it. And I feel like that's where I'm at. Like that's where we need to be at. And I think if all the players kind of get on this level and just say bump the Super Bowl window, like just focus on right now and what they can control, they'll be just fine. The one thing I need our players to do is find a way to do their best to take care of their bodies on and off the field. Because that right there,
that's the thing that always defeats us more than the
always
opponent
defeats
itself.
us, bro. And I'm sure it defeats every other team, but no team is injury plagued more than the Kyle Shanahan's San Francisco 49ers. There's a stat to back that up. I'm not making that up. There's literally a stat
there's
to back that up.
that support. It's not just an argument; it's a factual argument.
That's what I'm saying. So I don't want people to think I'm making up that.
We're not pontificating off of just random crap that's coming
Love
into our
that
mind.
SAT word.
They're always freaking hurt, and part of it is the type of offense and defense that they run. They play a physical brand of ball on both sides of the ball, and unfortunately, because of that, they get hurt. When you have an offense that's always wide open, like, say a Kansas City offense where guys are running free, there's not as much of that physical contact. The Niners run a very condensed offense because usually they have a quarterback who works well within the 10 to 15-yard range, and the defenses will squat on all that. And, when you have a quarterback and players that can stretch the field, a lot of the offenses isn't as crunched into each other. And I think that's part of it. I don't know. That's just my own personal thing. As far as the window, I mean, the 49ers in the 80s and 90s had a 20-year window. So let's this whole window thing is if you draft well, if you're picky in free agency and you only sign certain players, you're not trying to go out and get all the best players. Draft well, fill in with certain positions in free agency, and just keep kind of the same coaching tree or coaching staff or coaching philosophy in the building. You can, I mean, look at the Steelers. The Steelers haven't won a Super Bowl in a while, but through the whole Tom Brady and even into the 90s, they were always a competitive team that was always in the playoffs. They drafted well. They always had a team that was at least in the championship game or the division. Like they were always that's all you can really ask for. Like the Niners themselves, if they ever got a quarterback, I don't know if they're going to say, well, it's Trey Lance. If they ever had a quarterback who could straight up carry them, like a guy that a Josh Allen or a Mahomes or even a Burrow.
There's only one quarterback that's carried their team, and that's Patrick Mahomes. Every other
true.
quarterback's in the same motherfucking field that we're in. I don't care how good Josh Allen is. I don't care how good Joe Burrow is, and I'm praying that he's healthy. I don't care how great those quarterbacks are. They ain't carrying their teams. You know why? They ain't win a Super Bowl. And so at the end of the day, the only quarterback that I watched carry their team, and here's why I even give it to Patrick Mahomes. When you trade arguably the best wide receiver in the league and you still find a way to win the Super Bowl, like that's saying something. And Patrick Mahomes declined a slight bit. Like the Chiefs weren't unstoppable that season that they won that Super Bowl. It's just that they had a quarterback that just, if you struck him the wrong way, he clapped back. It didn't matter. And then all of a sudden, all the other pieces started clicking. I mean, Jerick McKinnon was clicking. What the freak? And so, like, you're saying to yourself, okay, that's what Patrick Mahomes brings. He gives that offense a different surge.
He's a counter puncher. Patrick
Straight
Mahomes.
up. I mean, we watched the quarterback show, right? So now we got to see what he's really like. I don't know if you got a chance to watch it on Netflix.
I didn't see it, but I know I saw the part where he got hurt, but I got to go watch it. To me, he's a counter puncher.
Yeah.
You punch him, he punches back. Like, he's not every time you try something on that team to defense it, he's always got an answer. And just his ability, he looks like this slow, hobbling guy back there, but no one ever they never get a lick on him. He's able to extend plays, and he's got an arm where he can make any throw from any angle. I was watching something with Joe Montana one time. Montana was like, he does so many things that you tell quarterbacks not to do, right? But because he has such physical gifts, he compensates for it. Like throws across the field, late throws, just anything. And dude, he's amazing. Me and my brother looked at each other. We're like, you can't even hate him. You can't. He's that good.
I'm not comparing Brock Purdy to Patrick Mahomes, but I felt like last season with Brock Purdy, he did things that he shouldn't have done that helped the team win games.
Yes. Late in the play type of stuff.
So you got to give, if the kid is healthy, you got to give him a chance to come back and prove that what he did wasn't a fluke. I think that's where I am with that whole situation. Like, you got to give him a chance to come back and show you that he the real damn deal. If not, got a great ass fallback plan. I mean, Trey is no slouch. You drafted him for a reason. He has gifts. And so that's why I was saying that the Niners are just in a great situation. Like, why we got to make it about who's going to be the starting quarterback now? Now that we know that
I think
Brock
a lot of
is
people
healthy,
think that if you have two, you have none.
That's the old school way. But now, things change over time. It's a new generation. That was like Generation X. We in Generation Z, whatever. We just in a whole different mindset. And remember, Kyle Shanahan said he would never use two quarterbacks. What if this year there's a dual quarterback system set up and they got plays? Like, we just got to pump our brakes and just fall back and let the plan unfold itself and just trust what the organization is doing when it comes to the team. I think that's just my mindset. No one has to agree with me. No one has to jump on that train with me. My mindset is I'm just going to continue to trust the team. They keep getting close to the banner, and I'm trusting what we're doing. That's
I feel like if you get enough cracks at it, eventually you're going to break through.
Isn't that
be a 30 for 30 of the team that never won it? And
no, we're not going to be the Buffalo Bills ever. There's only one Buffalo Bill. I didn't mean to call them out like that.
That's all right. I live in Rochester, so for anybody who lives out here and sees this, they're probably going to throw eggs at my house now.
Here's the funny thing. There's only one Buffalo Bills team, and they're still the same team they were in the 90s. They get all the way there, and they can't do it. And they had Jim Kelly, they had Thurman Thomas, they had Andre Reed, they had a squad. But you know what they didn't have?
Smith, Darryl Talley.
Are we talking? They even had a defense. But when they got hit against that Washington, against the Dallas, against them NFC defenses were a little different. And so that's why I'm like, I just feel like they're in the same boat. As great as Josh Allen is, they still don't have a running back.
Here's the thing that gets me about Bills fans, and I'm going to attack them. Me and my brother talk about this all the time.
This is funny.
I told my brother, I said, the day after the Niners lost the Super Bowl to the Chiefs, guess who was rocking Niners gear? This guy. Bills fans put that stuff away.
They put it in the cut. Yeah.
You don't see anything when the Bills lose. All of a sudden, all the stuff gets taken down at the supermarket. All like it's ridiculous. They're so fair weather. It's ridiculous.
You know what? That's fair to call them fair weather. I think they're traumatized though. Because you can't get to the Super Bowl 4 times and lose. Like, I think that's so traumatizing that if they put it away and then get riled up.
It's like a psychological thing in them. They have to
Yes.
put the pain away, so they have to
Yes.
remove it from sight,
Yes.
kind of thing. Yeah.
That's exactly where I'm going with that. That's
Oh
exactly
boy.
where I'm going with that. But for the 49ers, it's interesting because they're so used to winning, and now all of a sudden they can't get over the hump. And could it be the quarterback position? It could be. But I feel like this season, Aaron, like we'll definitely find out. I don't think our team has ever been this talented. And we've
Both
had
sides
Jerry.
of the ball are as
Yeah,
good as you can get, other than
bro.
maybe say like the Eagles. The Eagles are a really good team. I know they lost some players, but they're the NFC, and I can't stand them or their fans. But they're
More
a
their
really good
fans.
squad.
I could deal with Eagles. I could deal with the players. The fans. They're the worst.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
to attack and talk violence. I'm like, really?
Straight up. Like while you're eating, they'll just start word violence with you. And you're just
See, I
like,
have a temper. I could never go to a game like that because I try to swing and I'd have 40 people swinging back.
bro, Mose had to get me out of like 2 altercations
Oh,
on the way
yeah.
to the stadium.
I would have. Oh man,
2 altercations on the
what's
way
up, my
to the
guy?
stadium. What's going on, Ty? So look, I just feel like the Niners are in a great situation. And when it comes to the quarterback position, I feel like I feel like Kyle's playing a game, and we're just all falling for it. At the end of the day, if it's Brock, we should be good. If it's Trey, I think people need to understand that they'll be good. Like Trey will.
I think Kyle can figure out a way, because if
I,
you're a good coach,
I
you
think he
gotta if it
does.
yeah
I think he does.
use his deficiencies,
I,
turn other things into strengths.
I think
You
he
know,
does.
give him reads that are easy.
Yeah.
I,
I,
I I'm not saying you have to dummy down the offense because he's slow. I just think sometimes with these young quarterbacks, you have to take certain things off their plate. He just People are
that's
like, well, he's been in the league 3 years. Yeah, but he hasn't played. Like
yeah.
he hasn't.
That's a bad argument because there's no context behind him being in a league for 3 years. Like there's no physical context of him playing football. Like you're right. Like he hasn't played, so we can't use
When people
that
say he's a
argument.
bust, and I'm like, how can you come to that conclusion with 4 games?
That's the other opposite end,
And
right?
you
Like
can't go to say Purdy's a second coming after 8 games. You can't. There's always these extremes with people. Like everybody is so it's just like in real life and on the news. There's no gray area. You're either all good or all bad.
all bad. Yeah.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
about there's some gray area? Maybe there's context behind. Nobody lives in that world. They live in the because I have to put a take out there that's going to garner a ton of likes. So I'm going to go
You
like
gotta
totally like he's garbage.
right.
Someone in the building told me that they regret drafting him. Like, where do you get this information? Who's telling you this?
That's what
I
it
don't know,
is.
man. It gets me upset. I understand why people get upset. Let's talk Nick Bosa's contract. There ain't much talk. There's nothing.
Whatever
I
it is, I just know he's about to crack the moon. Like, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? So I don't think there's an issue with the Niners paying him the money.
I don't think there is either. I think it's just it's semantics, really.
It's semantics. It's all wording. It's all wording in the contract. You know what? If people have been following football like we have been for over the decades, bro, it's a
Yeah.
Bosa thing. I'll leave it at that.
Those
Like
guys, that family gets paid, man.
paid. Like it's a Bosa thing. And if you want to be, do your research, just go check out how the Joey Bosa contract deal
Hmm.
worked. It's funny how Joey Bosa held out his rookie season until that junk figured itself out, and so did Nick Bosa.
That
Remember?
family's like like an Italian clan. Like, and I don't mean that. I probably shouldn't use the word.
No, but I get where you're
Asti.
coming from. I
Asti.
get it. Like I get it.
Sorry. Mm.
Um, it is what it is. But he don't care about this practice, this money right here. And I know per CBA, the team can't make the money up and pay him whatever. I guarantee you, Nick Bosa can get every freaking penny
He
right now.
deserves it. That
Yeah.
man was our defensive line last year. 18 and a half sacks.
Whew.
Defensive player of the year. He
Almost broke the record.
if he would have had a couple
Team
guys
record,
in that
sorry.
defensive line that would have actually challenged the quarterback and to hit him once in a while, because there was times when I watched games where it was Bosa or bust. with Hargrave, and that's one of the things that I keep bringing up to everybody I stream. That's like, how come we never went after another guy? Like, even if it was like Justin Houston, like I worry that like all the attention is going to be back on Bosa again. I know Hargrave can rush the passer, but like, man, it would be nice to have someone who could really affect that edge on the other side. Now, Drake Jackson could be that guy. And maybe the Niners know more than we do. I would assume that they do because they're in the building every day with these guys. I see what they do. But as a fan, just thinking of how Bosa looked so gassed in the NFC Championship game. And then he got his calf stepped on, and that was pretty much we were beat. Like it was just a bad day all around. But
the way I just feel like if you talk about that Eagles game, like the way that offensive line, I felt like the offensive line was more aggressive than our defensive line, and it should never be that. Like that should never.
Well, it didn't help that Kinlaw was on roller skates the whole game. You know.
Well, until then he fixed himself. So like he readjusted, and then he got better. But by then the game was blown out. Like, you know what I mean? But like at the end of the day, like Bosa is gonna get the money. It's well deserved. And of course, we'll be fine. But I'm excited about this 49ers defense.
Me too.
I know the defense is always usually like light years ahead of the offense, especially come around training camp, because they're just reading, reacting. There's no pads, things like that. They just
Right.
But at the end of the day, Bosa isn't there, and the defense is still lights out.
And then you have a whole other new thing to think about with Steve Wilkes, who's definitely probably has his imprint on some things. I want to. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, because I was getting ready to say, get ready for aggression. If you guys like aggression, if you guys played that newer Mortal Kombat and they had that aggressive mode in that joint, like if you like that, like get ready, because Steve Wilkes is blitzing in training camp.
Yeah, we get scared when teams, we always say the Niners, sometimes they sit back too much and they let teams dink and dunk them apart. And then if they start blitzing, we complain that they gave up a big play. Like they got to be aggressive sometimes on defense. You have to give looks. You can't just stay in a cover 3, rush 4. It just after a while, I mean, if you give guys time, they're going to find those zones and they're going to be able to throw them open. Give guys a chance to, affect the quarterback, cause more turnovers. It'll be interesting. It'll definitely be different. I want to touch on what Ty Alston said, and then we'll kind of do a little bit of a rapid fire to get the last 10 minutes or so of this. But
cool.
He says Brock right now is struggling in training camp. It seems like he has the confidence issues, and he doesn't do well under pressure. His body language has been reported on being poor. Feel bad for him. Yeah, that press conference yesterday, I didn't get a really good vibe from Trey at all. He looked like he was visibly kind of just like, I don't know if you picked up on that. His body language came off a little bit discouraging.
I didn't get the body. I got the questioning being awkward, which may have made, to me, the questioning was what was making him react the way he was with his body language. Like he came out ready to answer. He was probably hoping the press conference would have been quicker, but they just kept trying to drill certain things. And then even when Grant asked a different question about him talking about, the Jeff Christensen, the training and things like that, he kind of just came off and said, I don't really want to talk about that. Like, you know what I'm saying? But it went well. Like that was kind of like his response. I didn't see the problem, but I mean, I thought his interview by far was the weirdest out of the 3 that did it yesterday.
You think he was just a little bit frustrated because of the stupid questions he was getting, and maybe he was
I thought he was getting some dumbass questions. I'm just gonna keep it a buck. Like you're
not the only one. I saw that across Twitter that they felt that there was a narrative being pushed with some of the questions that was asking Trey.
That's
trying to almost like stir the pot.
There you go. There you go.
The media loves to stir the pot, but that's their job, though.
I understand
it doesn't mean I agree with it.
I understand that, and if I'm gonna give Trey Lance any advice, like he would take any from me, but I am older, so if I'm gonna give him any advice, if he's listening and watching, like he has to just be better at deflecting.
I think he needs to be more assertive.
Whatever he got to do, he can deflect those things and turn it back around. but maybe that's just not his personality. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we can't make certain people be
Yeah,
certain
you
things.
can't make somebody be a piss ass like I have a really bad temper. I'm half Sicilian, half Irish. I can get a little bit irritable and I snap on people.
Yeah,
Go
like
on Twitter, do the same thing.
like I thought, like when George Kittle was asked a question that he doesn't want to answer, he turns it into some type of sarcastic, weird ass joke to like
He
clap
did it at the
back.
quarterback. He did it at his camp.
So,
When
but that's
someone
his personality,
they already get too much attention. You know, he
right?
was talking about quarterbacks. He's like tight ends need more attention or something like
Right.
that.
I thought they could have asked Trey Lance more about just camp, like, and not starting at quarterback one, but what is he trying to do to get ready to prepare for the battle or things like. There could have just been so many better questions, but I just thought the questions were trash. Like
I
they
agree.
wanted to when they interviewed Brock Purdy, they wanted to know how his recovery. So that's a whole different story. That shit ain't really had nothing to do with how bad he was in practice, because he was fucking terrible. Like, I'm sorry for cursing. He was bad in practice. But no one
Bad,
asked that.
greasy. Wow.
Because no one asked that. But my
Right.
thing is, they asked him about his injury. He answered it, and it was cool. I just don't get why there's a different agenda. This is not about even me being emotional, Chris. It just seems like there's a different agenda. That's all I'm saying. Just keep it consistent.
We're all about, me and Breezy are all about keep the energy the same for everybody. Like stop trying to be different with certain players. And I feel like they try to kick up dirt and get guys agitated. But I love Grant. Grant, like he was saying, like everybody looked like disheveled in that first practice, and the defense looked really bad. And he said Brock looked scared or kind of nervous. And then you get Jennifer Lee Chan and everybody else, and everyone's like, no, he looked great. He looked like the same old Brock. And I'm like, who do I believe, man? Like, what is going on?
I thought Brock in his press conference was pretty poised, and he knew he was going to get those questions about the injury, because it's a miracle. Like, how in the heck are you back this quick? Like, if I was there, my first question would be like, dude, were you really that injured? Because there's no way.
Were you pulling a Mahomes in the playoffs? Like you were hurt.
You get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Listen, he got hit, and that junk hurt. I ain't saying that it didn't hurt. Were you really that injured?
Maybe they went in there and they realized, wow, we don't need to do any surgery.
Do you get what I'm saying? I mean, the surgery was postponed. Look, that would have been my question. I would have got fired, but at the end of the day, at least it would have been. I would have made it comical though. Like, you know, look, the players just have to do better, because they know they're going to be asked the weird, tough questions and things like that. But this was the first time Trey Lance, to me, had an awkward presser. No one talked about how bad Trey Lance was in any other presser except for this one, because it was just awkward.
Yeah, it was very awkward. Peachy made a comment about hoping, or not hoping, but like talking about, like, if say we gave up on Trey, he went somewhere else and balled, and then we had an issue. We had Brock and he was playing like trash. That's the fear. That's always the fear for us fans, that like he goes to another place.
But it happens though, because
and then they put him in an offense where it's more wide open, where he can kind of do some things. Instead of him being molded to the offense is kind of molded to him.
Yeah.
That's one thing my nephew always has an issue with the league, is like, if you're this coach who's so great, my nephew goes, then why can't you take a guy who maybe is bad at certain things or struggles and kind of curtail the offense to their strengths and their deficiencies, instead of always being like, this is how we do it, square peg, round hole. And if you don't do it this way, you're out of here. Like, I get that. But at the same time, if you run an offense that is universal, then the player has to figure out a way to get it done and get good within that offense. So let's just say, man, I just want the Niners to win the Super Bowl this year.
That's it. That's
I don't care who the quarterback is.
That's it.
The only reason when people say you're pro Brock, no, I'm just going based on what I saw then last year. That's it. That's all I'm saying.
Listen,
gun to my head, who would you rather have start a playoff game? I'm going to say Brock. Why? Just based on what I saw. Doesn't mean he's going to be good. He could be trash in the game. So that's it.
But there's nothing wrong with that. Like that if that I just wish people, if people are going to say that's, just give the context why. People need to hear why. Like, people thinking it's something totally different because of all the different narratives that are pushed out. And you know what? It's the national media pushing out a different narrative. The national media don't come out and say, well, Brock Purdy should be quarterback one based on how he played, during his 8 games, blah, blah. No, that ain't what they pushing. They pushing something totally different, and they're making it Trey versus Brock and Monday Night Raw and all this type. It's like, no.
Cold versus the Rock, yeah.
Right.
And, yeah.
No, listen, I have to come out. I am a Trey Lance advocate. I've been rooting for this kid. I wanted us to draft him. Bang, right? I want Brock Purdy to start. I want to see if Brock Purdy is the real freaking Brock. Yep. That's what I want to see. And if so, I will give the man his flowers. I know what he did, but can he do it again? Like, you know what I'm saying? Can he do it now that defenses are going to be prepared for him? Can he do it now coming back off this injury? I know he looked good in practice, but that ain't a different defense out there. That ain't different people trying to scheme against him.
Yeah, we're talking about practice.
Exactly.
We're not talking about the game.
So listen, I do want to see that because Brock gives the 49ers, to me, the best chance at winning because he proved he could win in the regular season and in the playoffs. If anybody's going against that reasoning, then I got to question why do you, like, your football knowledge. You don't put.
There is some people out there that are just like dead set on like, oh, Trey. I just want to see Trey. I want to Trey.
No, like, we all want to see Trey,
but they don't want. But they don't want to give context to why. It's more or less he's been screwed. He's been held back.
Which could be real.
Could be real.
That could be actually the reason.
When you tell people like he was given the chance and he got hurt last year, and what was Brock Purdy supposed to do? Not play? Like Brock did what he did, and it's
we can't be happy that we were in the NFC Championship game and had a shot at the Super Bowl, and then turn around and say we don't want to see Brock because Trey's getting screwed. Trey might be getting screwed in the process.
I get that vibe from some fans that like they rather not watch the 49ers this year because of what's going on with Trey Lance than support the squad and just let chips fall where they may, and maybe Trey gets a chance to play and then he becomes the guy, and then like they don't even want to let their mind go there. That's automatically, well, Trey's being screwed, so I'm just going to protest 49er games. Like, why? Like,
that's their prerogative, man. Everybody toots their own. They go their own route and they have their own reasoning, and I'm not gonna knock it, but I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be watching, and I'm gonna be rooting. And
PG, I agree with you. I want 6 too.
When players don't play up to expectations, I'm going to be constructively criticizing them.
Oh yeah, including Brock Purdy if he plays like trash.
You took the words right out of my mouth, bro.
People think like I'm not gonna be. Dude, if Brock Purdy plays like Dookie, I'm gonna tell everybody play like Dookie. All right, I had a bunch of other stuff, but I knew this conversation was gonna go like this, so I'm totally fine with it. I guess I'll just bring up the other really big news is Frank Gore got a front office role. You reported it. Raj reported. He's gonna be. I don't know what he's doing. Everybody loves Frank Gore.
He's gonna be working in the front office.
Isn't that crazy?
No, because this was talked about last year.
No, that's true. Yeah, you're right.
And it was all a matter of time. They had to wait for that legal stuff to kind of work itself out because he did some weird stuff out there. But anyway, I'm happy for Frank. I'm glad he's with the organization. I don't understand why Jerry Rice. I get why Joe Montana. Maybe Jerry Rice's butt hurt too, but he's always there. This is Jerry. I don't understand why.
My nephew is always like, he needs to go home.
Yo, he's always there. He's running the field. He's like, dude, why don't you do something different? Now, I believe Frank Gore is going to be some type of football advisor. He's going to help. I truly think he's going to be that scout talent. I'm not putting him up there with those big wigs. You know where I'm going with this. But I think that's what he's going to be doing. He's going to start on that entry level. He's going to locate talent and Adam Peters and John Lynch. Like, he's going to end up bringing in some talent. And you talked about earlier on the show, how do the 49ers continue to stay with this window open or be a dynasty football team, however you want to look at it, it's simple.
Mhm.
And they said, Bosch said it earlier, you got to draft well. Well, now
Yeah.
you're bringing in a football player that knows the game, that found a way to stay healthy, found the fountain of youth, found health, found everything, did it with the 49ers for umpteen years, stayed healthy with the other teams that he went to, the Jets, the Bills, the Dolphins, right? Whole AFC East, and finally retired. So I'm excited for this. It's a possibility that Frank will help bring in some extra talent to this team and keep that window open.
Man, I just want I was such a big Frank Gore guy because he was
Huge.
here through all the crap.
Is he your favorite 49ers running back? We're the same age. We watched Roger
I
Craig.
loved Roger Craig.
Yeah, he was
But
different.
I watched more of the career where I remember of Frank Gore.
Yeah.
Roger Craig to me was before his time. He was Marshall Faulk. He was Christian McCaffrey. He could run, and damn could he catch.
Yeah.
He was the first player to ever have 1,000 yards rushing and receiving in the same season, if I'm correct. Right?
Yes, he was the first. Yes.
Yeah,
correct.
and to me, that's huge. And he should be in the Hall of Fame because he kind of revolutionized the game.
He must have hurt the NFL in a way we don't know for him to not be in the Hall of Fame. But he is a semi-finalist, so congratulations to Roger Craig.
I hope he gets in.
Hopefully this is the year he gets in. But back to Frank Gore. This is exciting news for the faithful because I think he's one of the most beloved, however you say the word, 49ers player of all time. I think he's more loved more than Jerry Rice. Like people love Frank Gore. The inconvenient truth. Jerry Rice is my favorite player.
My favorite player was Montana growing up, but I've kind of come off of that because he comes off very snooty. Which
weird.
Pisses me off.
It's because the way the team did him.
More likable, and I was not a Steve Young guy growing up. I hated Steve Young as a kid
because he sucked at first, and then he just blossomed. It's like they figured out how to use a left-hand quarterback. No, you know what it was? They let Steve be Steve. Hey.
Jeez, I wonder if we should do that with Trey Lance.
Hey.
Wow.
Little light bulb, little ding. Do I have the ding sound? I don't have that one, but hey, it's still ding.
I like how he's got a soundboard ready to go. That's awesome. All right. Hey, before you get out of here, anything going on? I would assume you have a lot of stuff going on the Wayne Breezy channel.
Yeah, I mean, we got Nitty Gritty Niners on Monday nights. The Wayne Breezy shows every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And there's a possibility I may end up at a training camp session this season. So it's gonna be a surprise. So I'm not gonna put it out there, but hopefully I'll end up at one of the dates for sure.
That's awesome. Ted wants to get me out there next year because
you gotta go.
We're gonna go. All the guys there. Yeah, I gotta go. I'm an East Coast guy.
We're gonna make it happen.
One of these, even if it's for like the first couple days, just so I can kind of rub elbows with all my YouTube compadres. Hey, it's me.
It's gonna be exciting.
I'll use my size to intimidate people until I go up against Brad or one of those other big guys like Aponte or something, and I'll be like, "Damn, never mind, I'm short."
Yeah, Jason is tall.
Yeah, Jason's really tall.
I'd be like,
I'm 6'3" and I feel like a midget.
Oh, you're tall too.
I have a bad knee and I'm also heavier now, so it's like I'm starting to tilt forward. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I was usually just skinny. I look way taller, but everybody, thanks for coming through and supporting the early stream, man. We had a consistent about 30 people in here, which for this guy was great. And I appreciate you supporting me. The chat was popping. Sorry I didn't get too involved in the chat. Sometimes I haven't talked to Wayne Breezy in a while, so I really wanted to listen to him. And I never regret it ever.
Thank you, bro.
Now we just got to do this all the time. I'm gonna hold you to it. Now
we'll figure it out. Like even if we start off one Saturday every month where we just get together, chop it up on a Saturday.
I have to take time off from work. Be like, why you got to take off this Saturday?
You don't even got to take time. Just go do it live right from work. People love that. People love when you just go live from wherever the hell you are. I'm
Bunch of
starting to learn
noise
that.
in the background.
They
Like,
don't
what
give
is
two
happening
flying
back there?
cares about that. You and I are like quality. It's got to be the camera. What was I saying earlier? I'm not doing this if my lights don't come on. Like
He's like, hold
right-
on, I got to be back. My lights aren't working.
That's why we
I had the
started a
same
little
issue
late.
when I started because I forgot exactly what was going on. I'm like, I'm going to have to cancel the stream. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Same thing.
Wow, this
Everybody,
is fun.
take care. I had a lot of fun. Everybody have a great rest of your day. Breezy's going to do his thing today. All the stuff, all the things. And we'll talk to you guys later. Go Niners.